Stand by.
You got a good life, man.
Let's see if this gets rolling. I don't know what it is. It said these Gong shows. I just can't seem to get. I don't know why. Some nights they work and some nights they don't. Let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, we're back.
Whoa! Breaking news: Balls Mahoney dead.
What?
Yeah.
What? Holy crap! Are we breaking something on Twitch here? Hang on, I gotta get it on Twitter right now.
Yeah.
Anybody else follow this? Can anybody confirm? Because he seems to die like once a month. Oh no, it is. Oh God, this must have just hit. Unless I'm totally missing something. No, 8 minutes. Dreamer just posted 8 minutes ago. Unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, the first news came in about 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes. Oh, God, maybe I've... God. God, it must have been at about 20 minutes ago. God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I'm trying to figure out the... God, the new Twitter is terrible. I just want things in sequential order, and it does not give it to me that way.
I know.
But, God, that's terrible. I was never a huge Balls Mahoney guy because I really didn't follow a lot of early ECW. I really only kind of got them. They were on like late-night television around... Oh, it'd be hard-pressed to put the year, but it's kind of before they got their just about the time, a little bit before they started showing up on like Raw and stuff. Before
so, like the TNN?
Before TNN, I probably about a year before TNN is when I started following them. Because they used to have like a late night show on the Fox Sports channel.
Yeah, they put that on DVD not too long ago. A lot of it, anyway, the unreleased ECW stuff. But yeah, it's not even. Obviously it's sad, Balls Mahoney, right? Like he's a human being and it sucks. But I think most wrestling fans, it's just yet another indication of the you can never go home again, and the slow eradication of the original ECW kind of roster.
And it's got to be it had been a hard lifestyle, being on the road. I have no idea. I'm not qualified even remotely to talk about lifestyle or anything like that. I never knew. I mean, like I said, I didn't know anything about that guy, but I can't imagine all the beatings that guy took being even remotely healthy for somebody. And it's just kind of that the pro wrestlers seem to age faster than everybody else.
And it's never the guys you expect. Like, you think of the last 5 guys, like from Ultimate Warrior to Balls Mahoney, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I would have been far less shocked had it been Jeff Hardy or Sabu or somebody who clearly had a death wish.
I don't know how Sabu's even still standing, to be honest with you. But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, like I said, that's a bit of a shock. It's too bad.
Yeah.
I think I'm the tweets are pouring in terms of this is what I hate. I hate every time it happens with these wrestlers that. It happened with the indie guy, Chris. What was his name? The indie guy who just passed away from stomach cancer.
Right.
And I wasn't familiar with his work. I mean, I saw the name, Chris Travis, I think his name was.
I think that's right.
That's awful, but so I hate how the just like wrestling Twitter, like you just watch this cascade of. This cascade of obituaries and people passing along their condolences and stuff, and it's just hard to watch. It's really, really hard. Because it's all. I'm reading Steve Carino. Balls was crazy and probably gave me 5 concussions, but he also gave me my first pay-per-view match and introduced me to sushi. Some good memories. So it's so sad that this is when we this is how we hear about all this stuff, and this is how we the wrestlers remember. It's really sad. You can tell Dreamer is pretty broken up about it. Yeah, this is tough. This is really, really tough. But like you said, you're right. It's never quite the ones like I said, you think are going to be going at any moment. But yeah, rest in power, man. That's too bad. That's really, really too bad.
And you feel bad. You feel bad for the guys who never had their WWE run paycheck. You know, like, if there's anything, I mean, maybe I sound like a complete capitalist asshole to everybody on Twitch, but if I'm happy for AJ Styles being in WWE, I hope he at least makes anything close to the amount of money he deserves to have made throughout his career.
I agree. I really, really agree. And that's the thing is, I think, like I said, I think these guys just annihilate themselves, and for not for what I mean, because I think there is some glory there. Like I think there's other reasons that people do this stuff. Just besides the paycheck. I think you get addicted to the rush of being in front of fans, and I can only imagine what being in front of the ECW crowd must have felt like. But you're right.
It was terrifying.
Although Balls got some paydays. He came in and he did some work with WWE, I guess. But you're right. Now he didn't. But he was never going to be the type of a guy of a wrestler that WWE was going to get really behind. They were not big on the brawlers, and
Well, that's what kind of like. Exactly. I mean, that's what kind of pisses me off about the smart mark kind of crowd, and I really, really cringe when I hear the "you sold out" chant, even if it's being sarcastic and ironic. It's like, don't these guys who go out there and literally are live action stuntmen risking their lives, literally, don't they deserve to at least have a nice house out in the suburb somewhere?
Well, I think I think that time and age of the concept of selling out, I think it's passed us by. I think there was a generation of us, and I'm speaking of like you and I, because we're about the same age. That's how we grew up. That the bands that went through like the Seattle grunge phase. Like they were fighting so hard to like not sell out, and they would never use, like Pearl Jam would never let their music be used for commercials, and they got all kinds of offers to do that kind of stuff, and and we view that as like artists don't sell out, that kind of a thing, and it's the same way with the wrestlers that of that generation. If you're ECW, you don't sell out and you don't go to the corporate structure. Nowadays, you're expected to sell out, and selling out is part of the the next generation. Like trying to figure out how to sell out is the whole key. And like they talk about with YouTube viewers and all this stuff, and all these people who've got these great YouTube channels with millions of followers and all this kind of stuff. That their whole thing now is actively trying to monetize their stuff, whether it's setting up deals with commercial agencies or anything like that. That selling out to them is not a thing. That's just like what's selling out? Why would you ever turn this down? And so I think I think that mentality has gone by the wayside. I think with things like NXT and all this kind of stuff, I think there's a lot less people that are, oh, you're an indie darling, and it's like, what, go up and get yourself paid, and get yourself the exposure that you deserve and you go get to wrestle against these opponents. I mean, last night on Raw, or on Monday night on Raw, last night you had Sami Zayn taking on AJ Styles. I mean, this is like a dream match, and you could just see the internet collectively, holding its breath, and it was awesome. It was a fun match. And so I think everybody's really excited about that now, that the quote-unquote selling out aspect just isn't there anymore. So I
think too, I think it's a cultural, generational thing too. I mean, this generation, and I speak of myself too, not just trying to be the old guy. He's looking out for you. You know what I mean? Like there's
those family companies are few and far between. In fact, I used to work for one. There was an ad agency I used to work for back in the day. It's about 14 years ago, and it really was like a big agency, but it had like a family feel to it. Like they weren't privately owned. It was just a couple of guys that started it and had been going for 20 to 25 years, and it was a family. Like, they really treated employees like family and all that stuff. And they, about a year ago, got bought out by like super hyper mega global corp agency that just wanted to acquire their portfolio. And the talent exodus has been huge because everybody just hates it now. That it just feels like another corporate thing, and it's tough. It's really, really tough.
Oh, that sucks.
But that's too bad. Like I said, I don't know any circumstances. We haven't heard anything, and I'm sure things will start bubbling up in a little bit. But it's too bad. It's too bad. So definitely condolences to his family, and rest in power, man. Yeah, said he was always good for a fun match. I can tell you that much. I know. Just the chair swinging alone. I mean, you look back on it now and you kind of cringe, because he was all about the unprotected headshot. But at the time, when we didn't know any better, it was a blast. It was a blast to watch.
That kind of brings me sort of tangentially to a conversation I was having on Facebook with some writer journalist kind of friends of mine. We were talking about music, and can you like a good song by a band you hate?
Oh, you posted this to your Facebook page. Was it your personal or was it the Pro Wrestling X? I think it was your first personal.
No, my personal. I've got like just a handful of friends who kind of like are writers, journalists, and I was kind of wondering because I found myself liking a song by a band I hated, and then felt guilty that.
Should I bust you and tell you what that band was?
Oh yeah, okay, I'll bust myself. It was a Nickelback song.
Oh, Dave. Oh,
and
Dave. You are killing me.
I made more Nickelback jokes than anybody, and then I heard a song the other day. I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. Who is this? And it's Nickelback. I'm like, oh. And then I just felt like the worst hipster ass for going, oh, well, I shouldn't like that song because I don't like Nickelback. And I'm like, well, why can't you separate, for lack of a better term, the art from the artist? And then, then somebody else mentioned, like, well, can you separate Chris Benoit from his matches? Obviously, there's a difference between,
right.
Some musicians you think are kind of like,
Well, I got to tell you, I've always thought Nickelback, like the band themselves, took that shit pretty well in stride. Like, they really did. They know what their rep is, and they didn't. They really didn't, like, they would kind of feed into it every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Oh, the Funny or Die video they did making fun of themselves was pretty hilarious.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like I think there is a separation between them and like the work and stuff. But
there's a difference between
right.
Some musicians you think are kind of like
Well, I got to tell you, I've always thought Nickelback, like the band themselves, took that shit pretty well in stride. Like, they really did. They know what their rep is, and they didn't. They really didn't, like, they would kind of feed into it every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Oh, the Funny or Die video they did making fun of themselves was pretty hilarious.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like I think there is a separation between them and like the work and stuff. But the biggest beef I had. Did I ever show you that there's a YouTube video where somebody took two of their hits and put one in the left channel and the one in the right channel, and it was like the same song, but I was like, I like this. This is cool. Like, this actually sounds pretty good. And it was like, this is how you remind me of someday. Like, it was the two, and it was like, it was cracking me up because it really was like the same song over and over again. It was craziness.
Well, you know what? And that actually kind of led me, and this is all coming back to wrestling games, believe me, but that kind of like, reminded me of a point where it's like, if you're going to talk a band like Nickelback, it's kind of, a populist band. They sing about partying and rock and roll, and they kind of rewrite the same song over and over again. How are they not today's AC/DC?
I can't argue against AC/DC. It's the same song for the last 25 years. They've,
I know. And then, like, a journalist friend of mine just said, well, it's one has soul and one arguably does not. But then, I grew up pretty much where Nickelback grew up, right? The whole redneck, party boy culture. And I'll argue, and I know it sounds like I'm defending them, and maybe I am, I'll argue that they are no less authentic of an artist reflecting, their environment than any other artist you admire. You know what I mean? Writing songs about drinking and hot girls and stripper bars, that's pretty much the culture. So I'd say they're doing a pretty damn good job of being authentic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so it is what it is. You know, it kind of goes back to, you know, an analogy might be like, you know, that new Batman versus Superman movie. Everybody's ragging on it because of everything it's not. It's not funny like the Marvel movies. It's not tongue in cheek.
Yeah, see, I still haven't, like I said, I haven't seen it, and I was debating on whether to see it. I
Well,
didn't want.
that's the thing. My friends who have seen it, whose opinions I trust, you know, they're like, if you take it for what it is and what it's trying to be instead of what it isn't, it's fine. It's a
Well,
good
and
time.
that's exactly what I had heard with my observations of all that stuff. That it was like, yeah, it was one of those deals where if you go in with a certain expectation, you'll be fine. Yeah, and I think that's kind of it. I think if you just go in with lowered expectations, you know, I'm just going to sit and hang out for a couple hours and I'm going to watch a movie. That's totally cool. You know.
Yeah. Some of my best movie experiences were that. Like, I remember, you know, my wife was working one night, so I walked down to the second run $2 a night theater. And this is way before the internet, so I had no idea what the hell was playing or what was on. I saw a poster for this movie and I thought, oh, that looks kind of cool. I think I'll go check it out. Had no idea what it was, heard none of the buzz, and it was Silence of the Lambs.
Oh God.
And holy crap, was I blown away. And I think, had I read about it, learned about it, it might not have been as cool. Like, I almost wish I had never seen the Blair Witch Project. Without all the hype that led up to
Ooh,
it.
see, for me, that was the only movie, the only horror movie I've ever watched that legitimately terrified me. Now everybody thinks I'm a total moron, but I like
agree.
of all
I
of them,
totally agree with you.
I thought that movie was unbelievable, unbelievable.
Yeah, and I do too. But
That
I had
last
so
scene
many
where he's in the
friends.
corner, and I was just like,
Yeah,
oh shit! I was
yeah.
like completely losing my marbles, and I was just like, I was had a cold sweat going, and
yes.
and so it was like, you know, I said it was astounding to me.
I was shaking. I was shaking after that final scene with the guy in the corner. Credits rolled. I actually got up to walk, and I had to steady myself. I was so affected by it. But I had been following it before its release, and I had a friend who was a movie critic, so he was pumping me up for it, telling me all about it. And as good as it was, I wonder how much more of an impact it would have had if I went in
Oh,
blind.
I see what you're saying. Okay, I
You know?
gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, but I've had friends who've done that too. Like, I had a friend of mine who was a huge Batman fan before that first Batman movie came out with Michael Keaton, you know, and he was almost aggressive about not watching any trailers or TV commercials or anything. He wanted everything to be totally fresh, no spoilers. He didn't even want to know what the Batmobile looked like, you know. And I think he enjoyed the movie more than anybody because it was all a surprise to him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's all good. I'm wondering too, like, this is kind of an awkward bringing it back to wrestling, but I remember, like, in this day and age, you know, we're building games, and we're all over social media and promoting the game and talking about it and screenshots in develop. We're on early access, you know, letting people play the game before it's ready. And I think back to the Fire Pro Wrestling games, where if you were lucky, you might see a one-page magazine ad for the game before it came out. Those developers were completely silent. There was no marketing, nothing for those games before they came out.
Right.
You know, so
And that's
you'd
just
get
it. You would see, like, well, hell. I mean, I go back to my early days with Nintendo about how oh my God, if I would have been able to play like the original WrestleMania for the Nintendo Entertainment System, or if I would have seen video footage of that before actually like buying it. Oh my God! But no, all I had were these. Oh, look at that! It's Andre, and look, it's Hulk, and then you're like, oh my God, this game is terrible.
yeah, no kidding, eh? I remember. I kind of fell into the Aki games. You know, my brother would go rent. I was at college at the time, and my brother, I'd come back to visit, and he'd like, hey man, you got to check out WCW Revenge, you know? And it was so much fun. And then, you know, I remember I obviously there was no internet back then. I totally dating myself. It feels so weird. But I knew nothing about Hacky or what they were developing or anything like that. But I remember walking into a store to rent a movie and just kind of going through the video game section and seeing WrestleMania 2000 and looking at the back and seeing Hacky. These are the guys that made Revenge. Holy crap! There's a wrestler in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I rented it and I bought it home and like it fucking changed my life. I was more addicted to WrestleMania 2000 than any game ever before. And I knew nothing about it. It was such an awesome experience to be able to walk into a store and just find like this little gem that you had no idea was coming out, had no idea existed, and you're like, oh my god, I can take it home right now and just riding that wave of excitement, you know? It's like when I was a kid growing up in the 70s, early 80s, and being a Star Wars nerd.
Yep.
And my mom dropped me off at the theater one day, saying, "I'm going to go visit your auntie in the hospital. I'm just going to drop you off at the theater. Here's $5. Go watch a movie." So I walk up to the theater. I'm looking at the posters. What's playing? Empire Strikes Back. Oh my God! It's another Star Wars movie.
Really? So you didn't know that was coming?
I had no idea. I mean, I was like, 10, 11, 12 at the time, you know? So to be able to walk into a theater and, like, I remember literally going, for real, this is, like, Luke Skywalker hands, this is a Star Wars movie, buying a ticket and sitting down and not knowing what to expect. And, you know, when those Imperial Walkers came on the screen and being...
Speaking of which, have you seen the new Rogue One?
Yes.
Oh boy, does that ever look pretty good?
It looks pretty good, and it totally makes sense to me now. But my daughter actually pointed out, you know, there's no lightsabers and Jedis. I'm like, yeah, totally. It's going to be awesome. You know, it looks like it's going to be like, you know, I hate to use the term because it sounds so marketing douchebaggy, but it looks like the gritty kind of Star Wars movie. You know, like
yeah.
You know,
well, the fact that we don't have to wait 2 years for another, you know.
Yeah, and like the thing is, it's going to take a lot for me to get oversaturated with Star Wars stuff.
I thought that new movie was brilliant. Now I know there's a lot of people bagging on it because it was essentially a rehash of the old one, and they're probably right, but.
Yeah, it totally is.
So okay, not to change random topics, but can Grimhold not climb the top rope? I cannot climb the top rope with
somebody else mentioned that they were having trouble with that. It makes no sense.
Well, because unless it's a new model or something.
Well, the thing is, they're all sharing movesets right now. Nobody's got unique movesets, right? That's going to change soon. Because
all right, so that's not just me then. Okay, in fact, maybe what I'll do is I'll start a new match and see if it's just for that character.
I think it is. And I'm glad you pointed that out because I think somebody mentioned that in passing, and I forgot to forward it to Robert, our programmer, who, by the way, is... Oh, this is kind of a relevant topic, but a handful of people have been having crashing issues since the last update. When the game gets to the matchup screen, it hangs and crashes on people, and we
get the not responding. I get that window opens up.
I get that, but then the game actually eventually loads for me.
That's exactly what happens for me too. Yep.
Yeah, and what we're finding is we rewrote the way the game loads the characters and textures and models for a more powerful create a wrestler system, and it's not optimized yet, so it might be more than some people's memory capacity can handle, which is not an excuse. It's totally unacceptable. But our programmer, Robert, he warned us before we actually made the last update live. He's like, this has not been optimized yet. It's a huge drag on resources the way it's loading right now, but he knows this, and he's got to optimize it. So
I'm not able to use top rope moves at all for some reason.
Really?
Push towards the corner and hit. Is it Y?
So try the shoulder buttons. Maybe it got remapped.
No, but
that's another issue too. People have been having button mapping issues since the last update, and again, not acceptable. And we've got to rewrite Actually, we're probably going to actually license an out-of-the-box controller support button mapping solution just to get her done, so that people won't have this problem anymore and they can remap buttons to their heart's content.
Yeah, I'm having a mess of controller issues here tonight for some reason. I can't even get back in the ring. Let me see if. Well, let me try that. Okay, let's try that. Can you? Okay, maybe we haven't ever had that. Yeah, I cannot climb top rope here anymore.
Oh, weird.
I wonder why that is. Let me see if it's like no, because I was using it last week. Let me.
Well, it could be. It could be like Thor's hammer, and maybe you're not worthy.
Probably. Except that's like 90% of my offense, so I'm gonna be in trouble if I can't. Let me see if it's. Let's try Tyrador, and go against Grasshopper. Let's just clear all the new guys out of there.